All right, so get this. Today's deep dive. It's kind of like, well, imagine trying to get past a Moroccan defender. You know, we've got a TON to cover.
A lot of ground to cover for sure.
We're talking about how much Moroccan football has impacted not just Africa, but the whole Arab world too.
It's a big one, yeah.
But hey, no worries. We're going to break it all down. Start with the basics, you know. Morocco's been a big deal in football for, like, forever.
Oh, yeah. Decades they've been in the game. And not just playing, they've been shaping it too.
Right. So today, what we're really going to dig into is, like, the WHY. Why are they so influential?
Exactly, the why.
And trust me, it gets super interesting. We'll look at how, like, Moroccan players have become these role models all over Africa.
For sure.
Then there's these rivalries that are, like, way more than just games, right?
Oh, absolutely.
They get tied up with all this history and culture.
Definitely.
And they get this. Moroccan clubs, they're totally dominating these continental competitions.
Crushing it.
So, okay, let's start with the Moroccan national team, those Atlas Lions, right? Yep, the Atlas Lion.
I mean, you see them up there all the time, competing at the highest level.
World Cup, Africa Cup of Nations, always there.
Yeah, exactly. But it sounds like their impact, it's bigger than just winning or losing.
Way bigger. It goes beyond the scores, for sure.
So how so? Like, what do you mean by that?
Well, there's this professor, Ahmed Benkassou. He's written a lot about this.
Okay.
And he says the Atlas Lions, they're this huge source of inspiration.
Okay.
For young athletes all across Africa. It's about representation, you know?
Gotcha. So it's not just about, like, how good the team is. It's, like, who they are to people.
Precisely. Imagine, right, you're this young kid playing football in Cameroon or somewhere.
Okay, yeah.
And you see Hakim Ziyech grew up in, like, a small town in the Netherlands.
Yeah.
And he's out there just killing it in these top European leagues.
Right.
That sends a powerful message.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
It shows these young players, look, Moroccan players, they could overcome anything and, you know, make it to the top. So Ziyech, he's not just a great player. He's like this symbol of what's possible.
Exactly, a symbol. And it's not just Ziyech. You've got Achraf Hakimi playing for these giant clubs.
Yeah, I see what you mean.
These guys, they become more than just athletes. They're like these figures, these aspirational figures for a whole generation.
Showing what you can achieve if you know, put your mind to it.
Exactly.
Yeah, it really sounds like Morocco is setting this, like, high standard for the rest of African football.
For sure.
But, okay, let's be real. Football is always more fun when there's some rivalry going on.
Oh, absolutely. A little competition always spices things up.
Right. And with Morocco especially, it seems like when they go up against Algeria.
Oh, man, those matches.
It's like more than a game, right?
It's huge GE. It goes way beyond the sport itself. It gets tied up with their history, their culture, you know, national identity.
So it's like football meets geopolitics.
Yeah, you could say that.
Yeah. So what are some of those historical things or, like, cultural differences that make it so intense?
Well, like with Algeria, there's that sand war back in '63. And just ongoing tensions, you know, political stuff.
So these matches, they become like a way to play out those tensions on the field.
Kind of.
The stakes are super high, even more than just, like, who wins the game.
Way higher.
Wow. And then you have Morocco playing Egypt.
Oh, that's a good one, too.
It's not just about how they play, right? It's like two different philosophies of football going head to head.
It's like a clash of styles, for sure.
It really shows you how diverse African football is.
Absolutely. It's a beautiful thing.
Okay, you've got me totally hooked on these rivalries. But we got to talk about the clubs, too.
Yeah.
I mean, Moroccan clubs in the CAF Champions League, they're amazing.
They're dominant, yeah.
Like, seriously impressive. What's the secret to their success?
Well, it's a few things. Clubs like Wydad Casablanca, Raja Casablanca, they're always performing at such a high level.
Yeah, they've won it a bunch of times, right?
Multiple titles, yeah. And they're always challenging the best of the best from all over Africa.
So, for anyone who might not be, like, super familiar with African football,
right?
What exactly is the CAF Champions League? Like, what's the big deal?
It's basically the Champions League, but for Africa.
Oh, okay.
It's where all the top clubs on the continent go head-to-head.
So the best of the best.
Exactly. It's about prestige, you know, getting recognized, and there's a lot of money involved, too.
So the stakes are high.
Very high.
And Moroccan clubs, they're always right up there at the top.
Always.
Which, I mean, tells you a lot about how strong your domestic league is, too.
For sure. It all starts at home.
So how does all that success, like, trickle down? What does it mean for Moroccan football as a whole?
Well, when you're consistently winning, you attract talent.
Yeah, makes sense.
Not just from other African countries, but from other continents too.
Wow.
It creates this cycle, Success breeds more success.
So it's not just about having like a few star players. It's about building a whole system.
That's the key. A system that attracts talent, develops it.
You're like a pipeline.
Exactly. And all that talent, all that investment, it just raises the quality of Moroccan football overall.
It feeds itself.
It does, yeah. And it keeps pushing them further ahead.
Wow, that's impressive. So I guess what we're seeing is Morocco, they're not just playing the game.
No.
They're really changing the game.
They are, and it's exciting to see.
So we've been talking about like all this amazing success Moroccan football has had, right?
Right.
The national team, all those intense rivalries, the clubs, everything.
Yeah, it's quite a story.
But I don't know, something tells me there's like a deeper layer here. You know what I mean?
Oh, for sure.
It can't just be about like tactics and training, right?
No, it's much more than that.
There's got to be something more.
To really understand how powerful Moroccan football is, you have to understand Morocco itself, like their history, their culture, the people.
Okay, so let's get off the pitch for a minute then.
All right.
Like, paint us a picture of how football in Morocco has evolved over time,
Yeah.
Where does this whole story begin?
Well, the roots of Moroccan football, they go way back to the early 1900s.
Wow, okay.
During the French protectorate. Back then, football was like this thing the French brought with them.
Right, like a colonial thing.
Exactly. But here's the interesting part.
What's that?
Moroccans, they didn't just accept it passively,
Oh, I bet.
They took this foreign game and, made it their own.
Wow, so that resilience you see in Moroccan football today,
Yeah.
that was there from the very beginning.
Absolutely. Adaptability, that's a big part of it too.
So, okay, what happened after Morocco became independent? Like, how did things change then?
Well, after independence in 1956, football became this, huge symbol of national unity, national pride.
Yeah, yeah.
And the Moroccan Football Federation, which was newly formed at that point,
Right.
they really went all in on developing the game.
So at all levels, right? Like from the kids playing in the streets?
Yeah, grassroots all the way up to the professional leagues.
Like they had a plan.
They had a vision.
Build a strong foundation from the bottom up.
Exactly. They knew that if they wanted to be successful, they had to cultivate this love for the game.
Make it part of the culture.
Exactly, across the whole nation. And that long-term vision, it paid off.
Yeah, because Morocco, they became a force to be reckoned with pretty quickly, right?
Very quickly, especially on the African football scene.
Wow. Okay, so we've got the historical context.
Right.
But what about the cultural side of things? Like, how does Moroccan culture, how does that actually show up in the way they play the game?
Okay, well, think about some of the hallmarks of Moroccan football, right?
Okay.
Like their flair, their technical skill, how they always seem to be attacking.
Yeah.
For them, it's not just about winning, it's about entertaining the fans,
Yeah.
Taking risks, expressing yourself out there on the pitch.
So it's like they're bringing the artistry of Moroccan culture, that creativity, and putting it onto the field.
Exactly. It's about beauty, improvisation, that touch of magic that just captivates people.
Oh, yeah. And we can't forget about the fans.
Oh,
The fans.
the Moroccan fans.
They're a huge part of it.
They're intense. They play a massive role in shaping that whole football culture.
Oh, yeah.
So what makes them so unique? What makes them stand out?
Well, first of all, their support is unwavering,
Yeah.
no matter what.
Yeah.
And the colors, the chants, the energy they bring to the stadium, it's incredible.
You've talked about their passion before, but paint a picture for us. What's it actually like to be in a stadium packed with Moroccan fans?
Okay, imagine this. You're surrounded by this sea of red and green. The roar of the crowd is deafening. Drums are pounding. Everyone's singing together.
Wow.
You can feel the passion in the air. It's electric.
That sounds intense.
It is.
It's got to be this massive celebration of Moroccan identity.
It really is. Football in Morocco, it's not just a game.
Yeah.
It's a way of life, a source of pride, something that brings people together from all walks of life.
That's amazing how sport can do that. Create this shared identity, a sense of purpose.
It's powerful. So, okay, let's talk about the players themselves for a second.
Okay, yeah.
Because at the end of the day, it's those individuals on the pitch who are bringing all these elements together, right?
Right.
The history, the culture, the hopes of a whole nation, all of that.
They carry a lot on their shoulders, for sure.
So who are some of the players who really embody the spirit of Moroccan football?
Ooh, that's a good question.
Like, who should we be looking up after this deep dive?
Well, there's so many legends to choose from,
I bet.
but a few names that immediately come to mind.
Yeah.
First and foremost, you have Larbi Benbarek.
Okay. Larbi Benbarek.
A lot of people consider him the godfather of Moroccan football.
Wow. Okay. What made him so special?
Well, he played back in the 40s and 50s.
Oh, wow.
Back then, African players in European leagues, it was very rare.
Right.
But his talent was undeniable. Incredible dribbling skills, vision, a real knack for scoring goals.
He was a pioneer.
He was.
Yeah.
He paved the way for future generations of Moroccan players.
Wow, that's incredible. Who else deserves a spot on this? Like Moroccan football Mount Rushmore.
Well, we can't forget Mustafa Hadji.
Okay, yeah.
He was a key figure in that golden generation of Moroccan players in the 90s.
I remember watching him in the '98 World Cup.
Exactly. A lot of people remember his performance in that tournament.
He was like a magician with the ball.
Oh, yeah. Pure skill and flair. And thanks to him, Morocco reached the knockout stages for the first time in over a decade.
Wow. So we've got Benbarek, Hadji,
And of course, you have the current generation of stars.
like Ziyech, Hakimi.
Yeah, those guys. They're carrying on that legacy of excellence.
And inspiring a whole new generation of young players.
For
So
Spain.
Morocco has this incredible lineage of talent.
They do, yeah.
But I'm curious, have there been any challenges along the way? Because every success story has its obstacles,
Oh,
right?
absolutely. I mean, one of the biggest challenges has been the lack of consistent investment.
In the sport itself.
Yeah, in football. I mean, Morocco has made some big strides in recent years.
Yeah. But there's always a need for more investment, infrastructure, youth development, coaching, all of that. So they have the talent, but they need the resources to really help it grow.
Exactly.
What other challenges have they faced?
Well, another issue has been what they call brain drain.
Oh, what's that?
It's when talented players leave Morocco to go play in these, more lucrative leagues abroad.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
It's hard to keep your best players when these big clubs come calling with big contracts.
Yeah, exactly.
So how has Morocco tried to deal with that?
They've been working hard to improve the quality of their domestic league.
Okay.
So they're trying to create more opportunities for young players to develop their skills at home.
Makes sense.
They're trying to make staying in Morocco a more attractive option.
So financially, professionally?
Yeah, all of that. It's about building an environment where these players can thrive.
And reach their full potential without feeling like they have to leave.
Exactly.
And are those efforts working?
I think we're starting to see the results, yeah.
That's good.
More and more talented players are choosing to stay in Morocco, or they're coming back after playing abroad for a bit.
That's a great sign. It shows that they're on the right track.
It does, yeah.
So even with those challenges, it seems like Moroccan football is headed in a really good direction.
I think so, yeah.
And I think that says a lot about the spirit of the Moroccan people.
Oh, definitely.
Their resilience, their passion, how much they believe in the power of football.
It's inspiring.
They've had setbacks, but they've never given up on their goals.
Never.
So before we move on, I got to ask, what are your predictions for the future of Moroccan football? Like, what's next for this powerhouse?
Well, that's the million-dollar question, isn't it?
So, wow, we've covered a lot in this deep dive into Moroccan football, haven't we?
We have, yeah.
All their history, all those wins, the tough times too, and just like how much they love the game.
That passion really comes through.
It does, yeah. But before we finish up, I want to kind of change things up a bit
Okay.
and ask you, our listener, a question.
Interesting.
Thinking back on everything we've talked about, what's the thing that surprised you the most about Moroccan football? Or like what really stuck with you?
That's a great question for the listener to think about because there really is so much, you know? But I think for me, one of the most fascinating things is this balance Moroccan football has
Oh, yeah.
between tradition and the modern game.
It's true. They haven't just held onto their own style, their cultural identity.
Right.
They've made it part of how they play while also moving forward, embracing new ideas.
Yeah, they've found this perfect mix
Yeah.
where they can be proud of their heritage, but also push the limits of what's possible in football.
And I think that's one of the reasons why Moroccan football is just so, I don't know, so interesting to watch,
It is, yeah.
It's this blend of what you expect and then, bam, something totally unexpected.
That's a good way to put it.
You do that raw talent, but also all this strategic brilliance.
It's a smart game.
Yeah. And that duality, you see it everywhere, right?
You do.
On the field, off the field, it's They're masters of strategy, tactics, all that.
Yeah.
But they never lose that, like, spark, you know?
The flair.
That creativity that makes them so different.
It's in their DNA, I think.
It's like they're playing chess with their feet, but then at the same time, they're dancing to this.
It's like their own beat, yeah.
Yeah, they've got this rhythm that just throws everyone else off.
It's unpredictable, you know?
Totally. And it's that, like, mix of qualities that makes them such tough opponents.
Nobody wants to face them, that's for sure.
And it also makes them so inspiring to watch, I think.
Oh, absolutely.
They're not afraid to go for it, to express themselves.
Right.
And they play with this, like, joy and passion that's, I don't know, it's contagious.
You can't help but feel it.
It reminds you that sport, it's not just about, like, winning or losing.
Wow.
It's about creativity, about expressing yourself, about always trying to be better.
It's about pushing your limits.
Yeah, exactly. And like we've seen in this deep dive, Morocco, their impact, it goes way beyond their own country.
Way beyond, yeah.
They've shaped how football is played all across Africa, in the Arab world.
So many players they've inspired along the way.
And their journey, it's not over yet. I have this feeling we're going to see even bigger things from them in the future.
Oh, I think so too. They're definitely a team to watch.
Yeah. So this has been pretty incredible, hasn't it?
It has.
I feel like we've not only learned so much about Moroccan football, but also, like, remembered how powerful sport can be.
It can change things.
Yeah. It connects us. It inspires us. It pushes us to be our best.
Couldn't have said it better myself. It's been great exploring this with you and with our listener, too.
Yes, absolutely. And speaking of our listener, before we go, I want to leave you with one last thought.
Right.
If you really want to see something special, something different, I highly recommend, like, checking out a Moroccan League match.
Yes. Or, even better, go to Morocco. Experience it all firsthand.
You won't regret it. So that's it for this deep dive. Until next time, keep exploring, keep learning, and keep that passion for the beautiful game alive.
Keep the passion alive.